Then do you mind asking Judy if she could bring me a cup of coffee, please? Okay. You were here on Tuesday, yeah? I think so.
I don't remember.
You have a mark? You have a mark somewhere?
I have a mark here, page 186.
180. I have a marker in here also, 186. Yeah. Yeah. We're in the middle of 186. Ben?
Yeah.
You coming?
Yeah.
You told Judy, yeah? She's okay, we're in the middle of 186, and so the last thing we read there, we'll start again in the middle of the page. Madua. Why? Why do children love their parents? The kids are saying to their parents, can you show us pictures of the place where we came from? Can you show us pictures of heaven? Now what do I do? אני מראה להם תמונה של הבנק שלי, המקום שבו אני שומר את כספי. ולאחר מכן מראה להם תמונה של הקודש שבו הם אמורים ללמוד ולקבל ציונים טובים. So the kids say, can you show us pictures of where we come from heaven? And I show them pictures of my bank and the college that I want them to go to and things like that. So, thank you. Thank you. It's okay. So,
what does Sionim?
Sionim, marks, grades, marks.
It doesn't mean
Sionim, not Sionim, Sionim. Sionim. So, הילדים אומרים, the kids say, לא בשביל זה באנו, that's not why we came to this world. אנחנו צריכים משהו אחר, אנחנו צריכים משהו הרבה יותר עמוק. We need something different. Something much deeper, הרבה יותר עמוק, something much deeper. אם אני לא מחובר עם השמיים, if I'm not connected with the heavenly, שאני צריך כל כך, which I need so badly, איך אוכל שוב להוריד אותו? Then how am I going to bring it down if I'm not connected with it? אין דרך. There's no way if you're not connected. So צריכה להיות מתנה משמיים. It has to be a gift from heaven. בית המקדש השלישי ממש יורד מן השמיים. So we built the first one, we built the second one, right? But they didn't last. I mean, they lasted 410 years, 420 years. But we need an eternal one, eternal one. The third Beit HaMikdash is going to be coming down from heaven. Pashut Yored Min HaShamayim. The Medrash says very simple, it's going to come down from heaven. I'm blessing you and bless me back. That we should have the great merit to connect our children with the above. Devout. That would be so awesome. Madua Eliyahu Hanavi Lo Meit Lo Olam. The Medrash says that Eliyahu Hanavi never dies. Eliyahu Hanavi hu Adam HaYachid Asher Etzlo HaLamala VaLamata Tamid Muchadim V'Tamid Mechubarim. Because Eliyahu Hanavi is the man, the only man for whom the above and the below are constantly united. Constantly, HaKesher Lo Nifsak Afilu L'Rega. The connection is not is not cut off even for a moment. I want you to know that when we begin a chuppah, the first thing that is done is that the chosin covers the face of the bride. What's the chosin actually doing? What's he telling the bride in covering, in putting a veil on her face? What he's saying is, I want to connect you with the above. I want our marriage to take place above, not in this world. Od ma'at b'chuppah, soon at the chuppah ceremony, I will be giving you a ring and we're going to be connected here below. But first, come, let's connect ourselves above. Got that? Right? In other words, it's like, for example, in Shema, when you're saying Shema, what are you doing? You're covering your eyes, right? So, in other words, you're trying to sort of like not let this, what you see with your eyes, interfere, right, with your awareness of something higher. So Reb Shlomo said a lot of teachings about the whole thing about the covering, the badekin, what's called in Yiddish the badekin, the covering the bride's face. And this one of the things that he said most often was this teaching that we just had, that or to put it in different words, the chosin is telling the Caliph, the connection with you is deeper than how beautiful you are. By the way, I have a dentist appointment right after the class, so I'm going to cut today right on time, okay?
We can leave even a little bit earlier if necessary.
You think I want to be there that fast? I want to be there for my appointment, that's it.
No, but the dentist, as you're going to the dentist, your pain goes away, no?
And what?
Your pain goes away as you're going to the dentist, no?
Yeah. Okay, so Reb Shlomo continues and he says, I want to tell you a few more teachings about the covering of the bride's face. I don't want to tell you anything bad, it seems to me that most weddings, they do the covering of the bride's face, like without much attention. Without the proper attention. Have you ever seen how it happens very often? A lot of the people are busy at the smorgasbord or eating. You ever see these smorgasbord challenges? How many plates can you balance on your arm and in your hand?
I've seen
and then they expect you to sit down and have a whole meal also. Anyway, some people are really good at it, right?
Alles is a Gewohnheit.
Yeah, practice. So, everybody's busy talking. Then the two grab the chassan and they slap him.
That's what I wrote down last time.
Yeah. And
but what does the word actually mean?
It means slap.
Sochim?
Sochavim.
Socha?
Sochev, yeah.
It means to pull.
Drag, yeah.
Okay.
And they so to speak, like they take the chassan to the kala, but salam b'diyuk misalem et hakalan. The photographer is busy photographing the kala. Hayima shalom misadeget lat simla. Her mother is fixing her dress a little bit. Mishu ba lavid laksat lipstick, and somebody's bringing her some more lipstick. Va'az be'emtza kol zeh, in the middle of all this, osim maher kisui pnei kala. In the middle of all this, they do quickly, they cover the bride's face, and there's dancing without kavanah, and the musicians are playing without any intention, without any kavanah. And then the people go to the chuppah. You're right. It's not, he didn't say always, that's number one. It's not always like that, Baruch Hashem. And two, the same way that Reb Shlomo has had a big influence on Kabbalah Shabbos, like we spoke about the other day, right? He's also had a big influence on the Bedekins. Reb Shlomo used to do Bedekins that would sometimes last an hour and a half, even 2 hours.
Shlomo Katz's wedding lasted 4 hours. I remember. Well, I wasn't there, but people told me. At the Ramad Rachel.
But the chuppah lasted 4 hours.
4 hours.
I was there, it wasn't.
I was told that that's a long time. That's a long time.
Anyway, so Reb Shlomo once explained why would he do such a long bedekin and chuppah? Because he said that it happens that in all marriages, like there are some days that are a little bit rocky. So he wanted the chassan and kala to have a strong memory of their wedding, so they can go back to it and remember, what they were like and why they were getting married and so on. So a lot of people forget that, So, Baruch Hashem, ha'chevra sheli k'tzat yoter amukim. By the way, I saw this wedding on YouTube. There's a lot of Hasidic weddings on YouTube, and the Sasover Rebbe's son's wedding. And mamish, like the Hasidim was there, like they were hundreds of Hasidim, and it's a beautiful. You should watch it. And like mamish singing before by the Bedekin and the chuppah, singing for like a good hour and a half. See, the thing is that you're bringing together two people who are opposites pretty much, right? Mars, Venus, whatever, men are from Mars, women are from Venus, you've heard of that book. And you want them, we want them to connect and to bond on the highest level. Not just like I like the way you look, or I like what you do, I like this, I like that. That's all superficial. You want to have a deep connection. You want to have a connection that the Rebbeinu Shalom is part of it. So in some Hasidic circles, not all, there's a serious singing and meditation that's going on during the time of the Chosens Tish and going to the Bedekin and during the Bedekin and then by the Chuppah, like if you get to look at this Sassiver wedding, it's like you'll see it's over 2 hours. Like the Tish, the Bedekin, the Chuppah, Mamish, So he says, Baruch Hashem, החברה שלי קצת יותר עמוקים בזמן כיסוי פני כלה. Thank God my chevra are a little bit deeper when during the Bedekin. הרי הילדים באים מלמעלה. The Bedekin is very special because one of the things that's happening during the Bedekin is that the souls of the children that are going to be born into this family, there's a tradition that they're coming to be present for the chuppah.
Really?
Yeah. The children of this woman are coming and connecting themselves with their mother. We're not talking about, they're not here in this world and they haven't been born yet. Every Bedekin is basically connecting. It's a supernal connection. The Bedekin is actually even more higher, more exalted than the chuppah itself. Because the chuppah is already our connecting, the chosen kala connecting here in this world. The kisui pnei kala hu kesher shel mala, and the covering of the kala's face. This is about connecting on a supernal level. So why isn't everybody doing something about this? Why do, I was at a wedding once, and an Israeli wedding, and I was invited to, I didn't even really know them, it's just I lived in the same building as the parents of the college. And the MC announces, the rabbi is here, no, the photographer is here, the rabbi is here, and the musicians are here. Okay, let's get the ceremony over. And the kala came and the chosen came, and there were a lot of people that were just sitting at it and already eating, and they didn't even get up to be present. So he says, Reb Shlomo says, why aren't people doing something more about it? So he says, Ki him lo kshurim lamala, because they're not connected above. V'hem lo yecholim lisbol et zeh. So when people are not connected above, they don't have any patience for it. At hadavar hazeh hem lo rotzim, they don't want this. Lo sovlim, they don't tolerate it. Lachen hem osim et atzmam ki'ilu hu lo kayam. So that's why they act as if nothing's going on. Right? There's the Reb Shlomo Rebbe was known for his wit. So he was a student and a chassid by the Rebbe Melech of Luzhensk at one point, and I think by Rebbe Melech of Luzhensk. Anyway, so the Rebbe Melech used to daven like a long Shemoneh Esrei, and the Chassidim would, finish after 5-10 minutes, and the Rebbe would continue davening Shemoneh Esrei for I don't know, let's say half an hour, I don't know. So the Rebbe Shlomo, while everyone was waiting, would sometimes start joking around, So, which is a lot of chutzpah. Anyway, so his Rebbe says to him, "Listen, you better promise me that you're not going to joke around anymore during the time that I'm finishing Shemoneh Esrei." So he promised him. So then comes the next time, and sure enough, the Reb Shlomo starts joking around at some point. So Rabbi Melech finishes Shemoneh Esrei, and he says, "You promised me that you weren't going to joke around." So he says, "I did, and you and the Rebbe Genuman Ayor Met Mitvach. He would davened for a whole year, and and so we waited. In any case, it's like, for example, Damshin of a Rebbe. Daven is very, very, very long. So he has a minyan of a select number of students in Hasidim, but could you see yourself, like I know that there's a minyan here in Yerushalayim that davens every Shabbos, like, or Shabbos Mevorchim. You daven like really slow, 6 to 8 hours. And I know people who've gone to that minyan. Okay? And they say that it's great. And it is great, like the Frierdiker Rebbe. The Frierdiker Rebbe used to daven, like Reb Shlomo would tell stories about the Frierdiker Rebbe davening. Like sometimes Musaf on Shabbos would take 6 hours. If you're davening with real, his burniness and real kavanah and so on. So for example, you're saying Shema Yisrael, right? Well, how much time do you take to actually get yourself ready to say that with complete kavanah, with complete intention, right? So in Chabad, you've heard of the term an oived, right? It's like a oived means somebody who's working on their avodat Hashem. And we're not talking about sitting there and wasting time. We're talking about you study some Chassidus before davening, and you meditate on it, and you really put yourself into every word. That's how the Amshin of it happens. That's why often he doesn't get to make Havdalah till Tuesday. He doesn't finish Shabbos until Tuesday. It's not yet. So if you're connected above, this is the point that Reb Shlomo was making. If you're connected above, then how long it takes doesn't matter, right? But if you're not connected above, you don't have patience for that. Reb Shlomo was doing a chuppah once, and the father of the Kala comes over to him and he says, you have to hurry up. The caterer said the soup is getting cold. They're doing the highest chuppah, and he's standing there and he's telling him, cut it out. The soup is getting cold. Okay, so there are people that, for example, Kiddush Friday night, Shalom Aleichem, Kiddush, and so on. There are people that take their time and prepare themselves into the proper consciousness for the meal, etc., and so on. But then again, let's say, for example, if your family doesn't really have patience for that, or if you have guests that don't, that cannot relate to it, so then it's not such a big mitzvah to do that, But generally speaking, if people are connected above, then you have time. Can you imagine davening in a minyan with what the Gemara calls Chasidim HaRishonim, the early Chasidim, that the early Hasidim, they meditated an hour before Shemoneh Esrei. They spend an hour on Shemoneh Esrei. They meditated another hour after Shemoneh Esrei, 3 times a day. Okay. You think you're ready for that? So you can work yourself up to it, but it's now if you take this and say, okay, so now you're talking about davening. But how does this relate between us? Right? And between us also. If you're connected above, right? And somebody comes in and you appreciate that another neshama came in, right? If you're not connected above, it's like we've learned about this, right? If you're not connected above, so either you couldn't care less, or another person came in, or you're sitting at a Shabbos meal, and there are people sitting next to you, right? And all you're interested in is in the food and the children, and you couldn't care less who's sitting next to you, right? How many times do you turn to the person on your right or on your left and say good Shabbos, and be present for them and welcome their presence and so on. So if you're connected above, that's what you do. If you're not, you don't. You act as if. So you go to a wedding and the chuppah is going on, and you're busy with your cell phone, or you're busy with all kinds of other things, and you're looking around to see who else is here and how are they dressed, and what's this one, what's that one. So then you don't have patience for this supernal heavenly stuff because you're not there.
So talking to people and looking at them when you're talking to them and hearing what they say, that's called being connected above?
That's hopefully. Now, this is connected above. Reb Shlomo's been talking this whole lesson about being connected above and being connected below. Understand? Not just, we're not looking just for being connected above and being out of this world. When people would go see the Rebbe, or when people would go, would meet with Reb Shlomo or by the Amshanav or whatever, they don't just talk to you about spiritual things. They want to know, how are you? How's your health? Do you have parnosim? It's not just about heavenly things. Yeah.
Someone once said that the way we relate to other people in this world is the gateway to Hashem.
We've spoken about that a number of times.
I
right?
remember years ago you said the gateway to
Ahavas Hashem
is through
Ahavas Hashem. It's from the Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov, all the Hasidic Rebbes say that.
He wants us to create a holy society. Hashem to you. Holy society is with people, among people.
He wants to be present, and the only way that he's going to be present amongst us is by connecting that way.
I wanted to just say one thing about the document. You gave me something to read.
Yeah.
And I took it with me to shul today. I looked at it just before.
Yeah.
And I read it before.
Yeah.
Times. I looked at it just before I changed my document today.
It's not. It's from a shir that Rav Steinsaltz gave us. Chassidus and davening. Yeah. Baruch Hashem. So, Kol Davar Shen, page 188. Kol Davar, third line. Kol Davar Sheni Lo Rotze La'asot, anything that I don't really want to do, and it's sochek, I laugh at it. Did you ever see people laughing at funerals? It's because laughter, not all laughter is laughter is basically a kind of a nervous reaction, right? So why are people laughing at funerals? Because they don't know how to cry. So what do? Tzochakim, so they laugh. But that kind of laughter is heartbreaking. Why are there people sitting and eating while the Badekan is taking place? Because they're afraid to look at themselves and say, Gewalt ani lo kashur. They're afraid to look at themselves and admit that they're not connected. Gewalt gam ani tzarich et zeh. Wow, I need this too. Ani tzarich kesher katan imala. I need a little connection with above. Lachen hem amrim. So therefore, since they're afraid to admit that, so they say, that's me, kilu zelo kayam. I'll just pretend that it's not reality. We were involved with a wedding over here a number of years ago. Beautiful wedding. Chossen's parents came from the States. Charlie's parents came from America. It was beautiful. But the father, I don't remember if the Chossen or Kala, whatever, I do remember, I don't remember, it doesn't matter. And his wife was like having a great time. She was loving it all, the wedding and the celebrations after Shabbos, after the wedding and so on. It was wonderful. As far as the Chossen's father was concerned, his comment was, okay, tonight we're going back to reality. Like his and I'm not being judgmental, I'm not being judgmental, for sure not. If I was in his shoes, I've been in his shoes also, and there were times that I felt exactly this way, like this holy stuff and so on. It's not reality, etc., right? But it's the same thing. Like for example, you see somebody sitting and meditating on a verse in the davening and so on, right? And they can be in that meditation for a long time. And people who don't have any idea of what that's about, they just say, "Oh, that's not reality." It is reality. It's just that you're not familiar with it. I think it was the first time that I went to a tish by the Amshinover Rebbe. It's back in 1989. And without going into the whole thing, everything that happened there, but it's interesting. I remember it to this very day, like the whole night, So finally, at 4:00 in the morning, he was ending the tish, and he took the cup of wine to do Birkat Hamazon. And the cup of wine was like literally full to the brim. And he's shaking, shakuzach, and the first bracha, Birkat Hamazon, took him 15 minutes. I actually recorded it. I don't know where the tape is. I have not been able to find it, but I recorded it with every word. Count up how many words there's in that first blessing and see how much time you have to meditate on each word for that first blessing to take 15 minutes, okay? Mm-hmm. And then he finished the first bracha, and the Hasidim took off. Now, I had never been there before, so I didn't understand, why did they leave, Why did they leave the Rebbe alone? So I decided, okay, I'll stay. And he sat with the cup in his hand I don't know where he was, okay? But he was sitting like motionless with the cup in his hand for 2 hours. I stayed for 2 hours, okay? 6 o'clock, 6:15 in the morning, the cheder, the children coming to cheder arrived. And, they were early for school. So you know what kids do. They start playing with each other and they're chasing each other around. And these kids are like running and jumping over him, literally chasing each other. And he's sitting there like, and I, you want to try it? Take a cup, fill it to the brim, and tell me how long you can hold it without a drop spilling. I mean, that itself was just amazing to see. And I don't know what time he finished because I left at 6:15. Okay, and this is just Birkat Hamazon. Okay.
This is Leber.
No, here in Bayit Vegan.
He's in Bayit Vegan.
And this is if you want to go there for a Shabbos, I have a friend who will host you. Anyway, this is, you understand? So if you don't understand what that's about, right, you're not even willing to see it, because the fact of the matter is that everyone naturally does want to be connected with Lamala. Everyone does it, but if you don't have the connection and you're not paying attention to it, so then people like to pretend that it's not reality. Okay? Take for example this young man, and I'm going to finish with this because I got to go to the dentist. He was in Migdal Emek this past Shabbos. You've heard of Rav David Grossman, right? And this is a man, obviously, with tremendous talents. But did he achieve all that he's achieved? Turned a town that had the highest crime rate in Israel, turned it into a town of thousands and thousands of people learning Torah and doing mitzvahs? Is it just that he's got these like amazing talents and so on, and that's why he was able to do it? No. Sure, the talents help. It's because this man knows what it means to have bittul. What? Nullifying himself completely to God's will.
And he walked into
Speak up.
He had the bit. He was able to talk about himself.
Also.
In like a way that was powerful. In a way that like there's no sense of he explained that he wanted to tell us. He probably wanted to tell us stories. He told us some stories about the Rebbe. That he wanted to tell us stories, some other stories. He explained that he ended up telling his own story. And, like he went up to the Aron HaKodesh and like said a little prayer. I think he told us that yes, Hashem, what he should say to us, and he ended up telling us his own story that you can just sense when somebody is.
Yeah, I heard a story that he was on the plane once, and somehow or other, like he got bumped up to first class, and he's sitting. He's sitting with this next to this Gentile. Now the fundraising there is in the millions. Okay, they have huge expenses, but he doesn't shy away from he's like the Rebbe. Like if a program needs to be done, He's doing it, you know. Go watch some of his stuff on YouTube. You'll be amazed. So sitting next to this Gentile from maybe Texas or whatever, and the guy was having sort of trouble with his seat, with the reclining on the seat. So Reb David Grossman leans over and he says, "Let me show you what to push the button and I'll help you." He pushes the button and the back of the seat, it was obviously broken, the back of the seat like flips all the way back. So Reb David Grossman just gets up and gives the guy a kiss on the forehead. Okay? So the guy says, "Okay, tell me what you do." And he tells him what is, and he gave $1 million donation. And he said that he and his wife, they came from the States, they're philanthropists, and they came to give charity to Jewish institutions also. But wherever they went, they had a feeling of like the people they met were just interested in their money. So he told his wife, he says, "I'm not giving anybody anything until somebody gives me a kiss."
You got a kiss.
He got the kiss from Reb David Grossman. So it's like, like, you know, he gets bumped up to first class. He's sitting next to this guy, right? And but for him, it was like a total natural thing. You know, he didn't even know who he's sitting with. He just knows that, like, you know, he pushed the button, the seat went flying back, and he felt like, oh my gosh, like, you know. So and he gives the guy a kiss. So you see, like, you know, it's without cheshbonot, without calculations. You know? Some woman came to the Kosher Surmagid, and she was asking for a blessing to have a child. So he tells her that, you know, my mother was also childless for a long time. So she went and she needed a kippah for the yarmulke for the Baal Shem Tov, and she got a blessing, and I was born. So this lady says to the Kosher Surmagid, "Okay, so I'll make a yarmulke for you too." He says, "But my mother didn't know the story." Understand? That's an important point. Okay, have a good Shabbos.
Is this good to go back there also?
Yeah, but there is also pass the books. Pass them the books. Put this one on top, okay?
Okay.
Pass them all the books. Okay, so my father's Yahrzeit this coming week, and so we're going to be giving Kiddush by Anotim Yis Hashem, and
When?
When's his Yahrzeit?
When are you making Kiddush?
This Shabbos.
This show.
And also we're having Shalosh Shudas in his
Is the
honor
Yahrzeit?
next Friday.
Yeah, another question. This past Sunday with my mother.